Hey, so today I'm going to talk about something, I guess. Not really something that has, I don't know. It's just something that doesn't really have like a lot of interest behind it. But I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just saying words because I don't really know how to start this. Anyway, I want to talk about days going by. And what I mean by that is, what I mean is just life in general, just like the kind of just the march of time in a way. Now, I mean, there's not really much that you can really say about that in particular. It's just that time moves, days go, people eventually grow and then die. It's a basic process. But I mean more of just these like day to day changes, these day to day, or even like second to second changes. What I mean is like there was a time where we're all just like little fucking creatures that crawled on the floor and drooled and screamed every 10 seconds. And eventually we turned into things that could walk but still screeched and didn't know how to shut the fuck up because children just don't know how to shut the hell up. And eventually we grew into bigger versions of that where they still didn't know how to shut the fuck up. And eventually they grow even bigger. But this isn't about growing, it's about each day of your life. Because no matter what person you see, you can see a 60-year-old man just sitting in a diner eating, and that man has an entire life, an entire story. Each day, every minute means something, and they has done something. Whether it be something small like, oh, they drank a beer, or they were sleeping, or they went out and bought a new shirt, or just anything like that. Every human has just each day has like these like stories to tell from the many different days of a frankly too long life. Because let's be honest, I don't think most humans were meant to live past like 20. Because like I don't think I've ever seen a human that was like happy to live past 20. Most people like kind of wish they're dead by then, but I don't know. Anyway, day to day, and you think about certain times like when you were younger, and you know how slow it felt like time went when you were in school, when you were in a class you hated, and you'd look at the clock and you would think, oh man, an hour has passed and it's only been 5 minutes. And people like to like be like, oh well, time slows down when you look at it, or time moves like fast when you're having fun. But the reality is time does not move slow nor fast for anything. The only reason time moves fast is because you are wasting your time doing something and you're not focusing on the clock. Because if you sit and you look at a clock, then you're only going to see it move every 60 seconds. So obviously, if you look at it, it's going to feel slower because you're just staring at it for 60 seconds to watch it move once. Meanwhile, if you're doing something, time is going to constantly go by because you're not paying attention. So this like I never understood that. Like when you were a kid, they always tell you like, "Oh, time flies when you're having fun." But the reality is time moves the same regardless of whether you're having fun or not. It's just about what you're doing and whether or not you're doing something that is time consuming, or if you're just staring at the clock, because then it's going to look like it's just moving slow when in reality it's moving at its natural pace. But it always did suck, this idea of a childhood where you go to a school and you just hate everything. School just sucks. You want to go home. Well, I mean, I can't personally attest to that because I didn't want to go home and I didn't want to be at school. But for most normal people, for people who aren't fucking mentally brain damaged like me, they actually wanted to go home because their games were at home, their books were at home, their siblings were at home, or just something that they wanted to do was at home. Their life was at home. And obviously, there's people who do have fun in school. Like, there's people who are very they're very smart. They really love learning. And when I went to school, I did know people like that. Like, fun fact, I actually had a crush on a girl who was very much like into school. Like, she loved school. She was even like scholastics and shit. But obviously, that's kind of just a crush. You can't really go any further when you realize that she's a genius and I'm a fucking basically a single-celled organism. I it, it doesn't work like that. You can't breed a monkey with a scientist, man. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anyway, time. It's bleh. Anyway. I lost track of myself. You you kind of just like you want to go home. You want to have fun. And it's weird because it's like the time from when you get home from school to when you go to bed just flies by. Because you go home, you maybe do whatever it is you did. In my case, it was like, oh, I turn on like my favorite game or something, or oh, I'd play like Pokemon Ruby. And then before you knew it, it would be like bedtime, and I'd be like, what? It felt like I just got home. But that's because you're just so enraptured in something that you don't notice the time. And it always sucked because it always just felt like the more fun something was, it just felt like it was just shortly taken away from you. And you were, if there's something that basically felt like torture to you, it would just go on for as long as possible. But yeah, it sucks. But it's how the human mind works. When you're enraptured in something, you can't focus on like time, so you don't notice it, and it just ends. And then you're just like, well, shit. And that's how like stuff like weekends felt, and even summer break. Because with summer break, it was always like, holy shit, we get all this time. We'll like never have to go back to school. It just like when summer break hit, you just felt like, oh, you're never gonna see school again. You're gonna fucking make the most of it. This summer is gonna fucking blow ass. Or well, that would actually be negative. It's gonna be amazing or something. I don't know. Like, this shit's gonna be awesome. You're gonna go to parties. You're gonna hang out with your friends. You're gonna do something. You're gonna get a girlfriend or boyfriend. You're gonna make money. You're gonna fucking do amazing shit, man. Summer break is gonna be dope, right? And that's how like most people feel. They're like, oh, summer break, I'm gonna get to do so much shit. And then I think for a lot of people, just nothing happens. Like, literally nothing happens. And I could just be conflating my fucking personal experiences with certain things with other people's. Because, like I've said, you can look at another person and never know a single day of their life. I could never know that some person fucking broke their ankle like 4 years ago on a Thursday. Like, I could never fucking know that. Like, no one could ever know. Like, you can look at someone and be like, you don't know when the last time that person touched themselves, man. Like, at the end of the day, you don't know. Like, you just see a human who has no correlation to your life, or maybe not yet, you never know, but that person has no connection. You don't know what they went through. You don't know what their life is unless there's some idiot like me who puts out videos where I say, hey, here's what happened in my life. And then people are like, oh, well, now I know those things. But at the same time, most people don't really know. Like, I don't exactly go like day to day, be like, well, yesterday I ate some chicken sandwiches and I cried myself to sleep. Like, no one's gonna know that, but I also didn't do that. I cried myself to sleep, but I didn't eat chicken sandwiches. But my point being is that you don't know. And days just kind of fly by, and it's not just you, it's every person. And then eventually that person there's a person that you can see walking through a Walmart, and that person just bought like a nice like fake house plant so they can make their living room look nice. And you would never know that in like 2 days that person is dead, or that person was arrested, or just anything. You never know. And days just keep going by and you never think about it because that person, you don't know them. They don't matter to you. And I know some people do care about people a lot, to the point where even if they don't know someone, they care about them. I care about a lot of people. Even if I don't like people, I care about them. I usually hope the best for people, even if I kind of think they're a bad person. It's different when they're like a full blown criminal, like a bad criminal, not like just like someone who stole like gum from a gas station, like predators and murderers. But, like, even if someone's, like, a cocky douchebag, like, I'm just gonna be like, "God, what an asshole," but at the same time, I'm still gonna hope the best for that person. But at the end of the day, I don't know shit about anyone. There can like it doesn't matter. Like I can see someone and I'll never know what their day-to-day life was. I can never know what horrible things they could have lost their loved one. They could have they could have killed someone in self-defense and it like fucked them up. They could have been in a war. They could have literally done anything. They could have fucking gotten like a Frosty from Wendy's or something. You never know. And in our normal lives, for us personally, with the day to day lives that other people don't know about, we just kind of exist. And some people just kind of exist for nothing. And it sucks because it kind of just feels like a lot of people just exist with the sole purpose of being like background characters to other people. Like almost everyone in my school felt like they had like this energy where they were the star of some kind of show and I was just that ugly fucking dwarf monster that just sat in the back while everyone would every once in a while look back and be like, what the fuck is that thing? But I never felt like I was anything. I like even in my own life I don't feel like I'm even the star of my own fucking life. And that's just kind of something I have a lot of people probably have to live with on a day-to-day life where they wake up and that's it. That's their whole routine of life is wake up, life happens, sleep. Nothing happens. Friendships, nah. Relationships, no. Fun, nothing. Just an empty void where they just sit, they stare at a wall, sleep. Wake up, sit, stare at a wall, sleep. Or even in some cases, it's wake up, go to a dead end office job, probably get their pay cut every single day, go home, contemplate suicide, go to sleep. You know? And it's kind of shit. It's shit that just, you kind of just move day to day in the shittiest ways. Some people, like, almost every day is exciting. They get, like, new cool foods. They make a new friend. They always get new opportunities and things are just looking up. And then for some people, it's just day to day nothingness. And I'm not really the type of person that can complain about this kind of thing for myself because I kind of did my own shit to myself. I live a nothing empty life where I sit locked in a room 24 hours, I wake up, I stare at a wall, I go to sleep, and I kind of just wish I was dead. But the reality is I did that to myself, so I have no right to complain at all. Which is why I talk about other people because other people don't deserve it and they didn't do it to themselves. They're not people who like put themselves in a prison cell, locked the door, and then just sat down while having the key in their fucking hands like I did. So, people move day to day, sometimes exciting, sometimes mediocre, and sometimes awful. And then and the worst part of like a day to day just life where you just because like it feels like there's some days where it's like you almost forgot that day even happened. You could literally like be like a week later and you just be like, oh shit, I forgot that I was actually existing on April 3rd or something. You'd be like, God damn, I forgot that day even happened. I was that just felt like nothing. It's like an empty day with just nothing attached to it. It was just kind of just like you almost even forgot that you yourself were a being in this situation. You almost just like felt like even you weren't there. You didn't exist on that day. You stopped existing for a day and then moved to the next day. Like that's how it feels. Like there's some days where it just feels like you didn't even know that you yourself were in that day, even though you're a living being that sees every single day, unless you're like sleep for 24 hours or in a coma. But and one thing that really sucks about the day to day is when you live a day to day life that is so empty and you kind of look back on it, you're like, wow, that was just nothing. And like you see all like your friends and your family and even people that you don't really know, but you hear things about from like other people where they're like, oh, I heard Tom got a promotion. Oh, shit, that's cool. You hear all these and you just think, like, damn, I really just let my life be nothing. Like I literally just let every day-to-day life be the same trudge until I eventually just collapse and then stand up and trudge again. Because you think about it. You think about like when you're in school and you're younger, and you think about how people made all these like meaningful connections, and there's relationships that last past that point, and you make this bigger connection with your family, and maybe you even have some prospects in your life. And then there's just people a lot like me that just kind of let nothing happen. And days go by, you realize that you are now way too old to ever achieve anything, and you kind of just look back and you're just like, damn, I really fucked everything up, didn't I? Because there's an age, right? There's an age where you cannot achieve a thing. Once you're past like 19, that's it. Life is over. If you have not achieved something by 19, your life is dead in the water. And then you just have to live your life empty, alone, and pointless. And it sucks. And people can easily be like, oh, well, that's just you being pessimistic. Well, yeah, I'm pessimistic. I mean, do you know how many people, like, literally close to my age, there's people older than me that still haven't done anything with their lives because, well, a lot of the time it's their fault and a lot of the time it's not. At the end of the day, there's people who have problems in their lives that are their fault and some that are just out of their control. My problems were my fault, but for a lot of people, it's not. And I always hope for the best for those people, for these people, because I believe that every person should get to have a meaningful life where when they wake up in the morning, they don't immediately think about going back to sleep. They wake up and they think, damn, I want to actually be a part of this day. I want every day to mean something to me. I want to actually have something. Whether it be waking up to plans with friends, waking up to a good morning text from someone you love, or whether it be like going out to eat with your family, or just going to like some kind of job that actually has a bit of meaning to you. You know? Because for a lot of people, they wake up and they think to themselves, I'm going back to bed. And it's not like some like, I mean, obviously a lot of people have those like lazy days where like, oh, I don't want to leave my bed. But I'm talking about this in the sense of like some people wake up and they just look at their life and they just think like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to. There's no point. It's not like if I left my bed, anything would matter. It's not like if I left my bed, there would be a world for me out there. It's not like if I left my bed, there would be someone to take my hand and show me something that would make my life different or even better. There's nothing. They realize that when they wake up and they just lay their head back down and they either cry or they sleep. And it sucks. And I hope for those people it gets better. But only for the people who couldn't help this, because it's different when you do this to yourself. When you do it to yourself, you're just crying for pity. But when you're someone who can't help it, you deserve help because you didn't want this in the first place. You're not one of these people like me who forced this on themselves and gave up on their own. You're someone who was like forced to be put like this, and you deserve help. So days go by and life just moves. You die, nothing happens. Maybe some people will be missed, some people will die, and no one will even know. And that fucking sucks. Because I think at the end of the day, I think most people want to at least be remembered when they're gone. To some extent. It doesn't have to be a fame thing. It doesn't have to be something where it's like, hey, I was famous, so people are going to remember me for playing the role of a cop in some like sitcom or something. Like, no, you just want people to know. You want people who cared about you to cry when you're gone. You want them to, you want to know that they cared about you. You want them to like feel something when you're gone. And for most people, they'll die and no one will shed a tear. And there's some people who will die and they deserve to die. There are people in this world who do deserve to die. And I know that's like something where people are like, oh, the death penalty, you know, that's like one of those things where some people are like for the death penalty, some are against. I truly think that there are some people that deserve death. Like there are people who do some abhorrently monstrous shit and they don't deserve to be alive. And they don't deserve a tear shed for them. But majority of humans don't deserve to die. Even if you don't like someone, even if they're an asshole, no one deserves to die, but everyone is going to die. And I think most people, they want to live the full amount of their life, and they want to have made connections so much so that once the days stop going by for them, that someone misses them and someone cares. And it all ends somewhat peacefully. Because I can't imagine dying feels good. Like, even if it's something normal, I can't imagine it feels good. Even if it's dying from old age, it probably does not feel good. But I don't know. We all just want to be cared about, and when we're gone, we want to be missed. And we want these minor days to mean something. We want to wake up and the day matters. We want that day to matter to us. We don't want to just wake up and go right back to bed. We want something more. We want a life that doesn't just feel like you're just falling. You want to feel like you're on a narrow road. You're moving, you keep moving, and you see your goal. You see the people cheering you on. You see the people who care about you, and that's what you want to see. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to just be shackled to the starting line. So, I don't know. Day to day shit, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's nothing. Some of us do it to ourselves, some of us don't. But at the end of the day, I'll pretty much cheer on anyone who wants to be happy in life. And sometimes we're always just going to look back at our life and wish that one of those random days we had made some different decision, but fuck it. We're going. You can only keep going. Once it's the next day, that day that happened before is just completely fucking gone. And you cannot do a thing about it unless you have a time machine. And if you have a time machine, you're probably going to be hunted by the FBI, and they're going to probably dissect your brain to figure out how you made a time machine. But anyway, weird ending. So yeah, kind of a weird video. I don't really know if it was supposed to be depressing or motivational or even just stupid. I'm going to go more stupid because I'm the one talking about it. Dumbass extraordinaire. Anyway, I don't know what the hell this is. Anyway, yeah, whatever.